Hey guys, welcome back to another Church Tech Tour. Today we're at Church on the Move, and look, they're so glad that we're here. Let's go. All right guys, I'm here with Jonathan with Church on the Move. He's in charge of all things. He's like the guru here. So introduce yourself to us. Tell us a little bit about your team here for your AVL stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Jonathan, the production director for Church on the Move. Been here for 12 years, have a team of, right now, 8. We're hiring someone else onto our team soon. So a lot of shuffling right now in a season, but we have 3 churches. 2 of those guys are production managers that oversee those churches, and then I'm here at Tulsa, our Tulsa location, and I also oversee our support team.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan agreed to let us kind of peek behind the scenes. I've been here many times, but never gotten to kind of peek behind the curtain, so I'm excited to talk through all the AVL, audio, video, lighting systems, and we're going to take you guys along for the ride. So let's dive into it.
So we run SSL at all of our locations. So this is an SSL 500, and then over here we have an expander. Andrew Stone was the original one that put these in, and we've fell in love with them ever since. SSL has become a part of Church on the Move greatly. And yeah, so what we have here is, we have an L-Acoustics rig that we just hung in 2021. And we love that. We have the consoles. We do a lot of stuff on board on the consoles. We do have Waves. Waves is more so I'm using for vocals and vocal effects. In that chain, there's a couple of people that will have more effects and more plugins on them, but generically, I'm just using it for de-essers, also for an F6, just to carve out some of that compression and dynamics. And then we have a PSE on them. Running a loud room with lots of effects, you need something to hold back all of those effects. So that's generic on here. For our snare, we're also running some torque and then also a high-end boost for just the F6 on that. Behind me here, we have lots of outboard gear. There used to be way more, but now with Waves on board with the SSL, we've taken a lot of that out. But we've always had this historically at Church on the Move. It's just the drum sound of Church on the Move is our dual compressors. So we have that in line also with a 990, Yamaha 990 SPX reverse gate. And then below, every now and then, we put a distressor on the bass, depending on who the bass player is. We have a phenomenal bass player here at the Tulsa location that's been, he's toured and he just knows how to make a bass sound right. So it's just a high pass filter and a low pass filter on him, and we're off to the races. Over here are just some more effects units. 48L we use for vocal effects, and then also our Lexicon PCM 92. So yeah, that's an overview of the room.
What's your channel count?
Channel count, it varies. Right now we're probably around 90, no, around 100, close to 100 now. We've added tons of keyboards. So if you look over here on, I actually have it pulled up. So we have this keyboard, you'll see it Keys 2. Well, this is all one station. So we have a Keys 2 piano, a Keys 2 pad, synth sounds, a sub, and then also he has an organ. And that is all coming from one person. We have it running down, he has it running down Ableton and sometimes Main Stage to route all of this, but that just gives him flexibility on what he wants to run whenever he wants to run it.
So is he running that over like Dante somehow?
No, it's straight analog channels.
Okay.
We have tried doing MADI straight from the stage back up on tracks. For some reason, it might have been the season we were trying it, and MADI wasn't as supported as it was once before, but it just always failed. So we've just analog's the best way, and we've just stuck with it since.
Talk to me more about your Waves stuff. Are you using just Waves Tune for the vocalist, and how's that?
This is going to be a very controversial topic. Being the worship pastor, we just recently hired on a new worship pastor, and we've been talking about just, hey, what does auto-tune mean for us? I personally do not like auto-tune. I think it's a core value for me. It's even a core value on the church, authenticity, and that's one where I'm just like, I'm trusting the musicians to play the right chords. I'm trusting the musicians to be at the right spots. Why can't I trust a vocalist? And I do understand there are vocalists that could be at a higher capacity than others, but we have Andy Chrisman around that is giving vocal training. We have world-class vocalists that also help with vocal training. So as of right now, we don't use it. We haven't used it for probably 2.5 years, and I love it. I love it because there is that authentic sound of, oh, I don't hear that digital kind of help in it. You can go through and listen to most of our services in the past, and there won't be some. We did mess around with it for a season. Not against it for other churches. I get it. Other churches need it as they're trying to grow their teams, their vocalists. But right now at Church on the Move, we don't see it as a necessity.
That's awesome, man. Talk to me about your broadcast mix mentality.
Yeah. So broadcast all runs from front of house. So behind you is a LV1 that we run everything through. So that's getting all the audience mics, which are blending it together, and then we're doing some coloring through F6 and a couple other dynamic compressors. And then it's getting gained up, boosted, and then it's getting sent out to the stream. So if my mix sounds good in the room, it better sound good online, because that's how we've been rolling. Andrew Stone was another one that got that really going, and we've just modernized it over time.
Any tips for the audience mics for a room this size?
Yeah.
Or just in general?
So audience mics, that's been a thing that we've just been messing around with the last year, because we want to have that vibrant sound and make it feel like there's people in the room. We want it to sound like that online. And also just for capturing for our singers to hear all of those items. But the biggest thing we've used is we have 2 hangs above that are dropped from our catwalk, and then we have another set of room mics back here at the booth. But the biggest thing is just trying to get them as hot as you can without having your phasing and all the other nuances of the mic, but also allowing it to just sit where it needs to. Yeah, that's something.
Do you do any like parallel compression for those against, like side chaining to the band or anything
No.
to bring them up and down?
We haven't done any of that. It's just straight through, and we've actually loved it. Of course, in how loud we run this room compared to others, you're not going to hear a lot of the audience in that. But once you get into the message, that's when a lot more of that vibrancy comes out. All right, so if you see there's these 2 large speakers right in front, those are reference monitors. So a lot of the time when I'm mixing in a loud environment, I'll have those queued up so I can hear specific vocals, so I can get the blend correct. Or even during rehearsal, when I'm doing running back rehearsal tracks, I'll even run back just through the monitors. They're close enough to our PA to where I can just fully trust them and be able to dial them in. Even when I'm dialing in specific instruments or vocals, it just helps me so I'm not getting blasted by the PA for multiple hours. But this is really useful. It doesn't have to be the most expensive speaker. It can just be something just to catch your ear for right now until you're able to get up to another set of speakers.
Talk to me about your RTA over here. Is that what this is?
Yep, this is RTA. So what this is doing is showing all the frequencies. So as you see right now, all these little peaks and valleys and slopes, that's just sound waves that are being heard right now through the system. So I use this a lot just as I'm creating a mix. You'll see this brown line right here. That is kind of the target area that I'm trying to aim for in a mix specifically. You'll see we use a lot of bass over here on this left side, and we try to taper down on the high end just so people are more easily able to listen and you're not getting just crushed in the face with high end. But Church on the Move does love their low end, and just for that presence to be heard. So this helps me a ton. It also gives me quick speeds and slow speeds of the SPL. So I can fully understand, all right, we're at this level at this point, I need to start bringing it back. So as energy starting to build, I can easily correct that.
So the question everybody always asks,
Yeah.
Is there a dB, A, C that you're kind of targeting, not going over?
Yeah, so I've actually been bringing the volume down. Once we got this new PA, we were averaging right around 100, 101 on our older PA. Now,
dB.
so that would be AC kind of mixed, and it would be slow. Last weekend I ran about 95 in the room, and 95 in the room with this PA sounds fantastic. At pretty much every location, we have our A1 mix engineer, and then especially in this room, they do a lot, is an A2. So what they're doing is they're helping me. You'll see a comm system here. I'm mixing, so I can't be on a comm. So they're giving me countdowns on videos. They're helping to just make sure I know everything that's being told. If there's an issue that's come up, they're relaying that to me, but they're also doing mic checks for VIP mics. Also beforehand, they're doing a full line check every Sunday and Saturday before the weekend starts. They're doing a full of the IEMs, all the speaking mics, all vocal mics, every single mic on stage for the drums, all the way through keys, clicks, tracks, all of it. So they're getting here quite early so they can run through that, and that's all volunteer ran. So I'll typically be in the booth in case something really big comes up, but other than that, volunteers are running through it and getting trained on it. So here we have, we use Sennheiser here. So you'll see that all the keys, and we have keys to electric, all the IEMs here, so we can actually see what audio levels are being hit to them. They're being a little over compressed. We can keep monitor on that. And then here is all of our vocal mics, acoustic packs, MCs, and then speaking packs as well. And it shows battery levels, audio levels, and then all of the frequencies if we're having issues for wireless frequencies. Shure does it. Mostly any just generic company now does all of this, which is extremely helpful. Helps you make sure that you're not running out of battery life in the middle of a sermon, or right before a sermon goes out and you're like, well, I don't have signal. This has been an extreme help over the years as these have come out a little bit more. And then here, I don't have the meter on, but this is SPL meter. We meter each service. So in case someone comes up to the booths like, you're hitting 140 because my watch says it. No, we're not running that. If you were running that, you probably wouldn't be alive right now. So we monitor all of that, and it's all saved. So I have everything back from probably 2012, 2011, and we just save it. We never have used it, but it's just in case. And all of our churches are required to monitor their SPL levels just so that we're staying safe for everyone. And we also have just a trail of what's going on.
What program are you using in mic?
So this one, I haven't looked at it in a while. This one is the Galaxy Audio Checkmate. It's not an expensive one. I think it's like $100, and the software comes with it. It's all PC based though, so you'll have to find a PC around somewhere to run it. But yeah, that's what we use, and it's just a help to keep me accountable, but also to help everyone else if they have questions that we can let them know. All right, so this is our video room. This was not always like this in this orientation or as cool as it is now. So in 2020, of course, everyone was live streaming, and we were running equipment that was extremely old. We had equipment, some of it was 20 years old and some of it 30 years old. So we opted in, and leadership opted in to get this room transformed in the heat of COVID. We swapped it out in July 2020, which is not the easiest season to do it, but we did it. We had our integrator Skylark come in and redo this whole thing. So originally, our switcher desk was over there in that corner. It was an old Barco switcher, and then we would have a director seat. So some of these tables are originally from that area, but so it was over there, and then we would have another row here of people to run CG, different things, and then we had an editing area over here. But as we were trying to expand, grow, we needed some more seating, and then that's where we came up with this form. So up there you can see our multi-viewers. We run 5 cameras. We have, of course, more space to run cameras if we need to during larger events. But right now we just run 5. So we have 2 centerline cameras, and then we have one, our third camera is off center so that we can have dolly shots. And then we have our 4 and 5 camera that are roamers for on stage. All of them are older cameras. We're actually still in 720. So we haven't even moved to 1080. Everyone's talking about 4K, and I'm striving to get to 1080. So even a big church like us, we still have to think about money. We still have to think about what's the best cost effectiveness for our church, where our resources being put. Those are big things that we think about in those areas. But yeah, we're still 720 as we go around. So if you look at our stuff and go, man, they just have fantastic cameras. Well, thanks. I have some great operators and great people to keep it looking great in this season. But back here, I'll walk you through each section. So over here, this is kind of just an expanded area. So if we ever need to bring in equipment or more system operators, there's just space for growth back here. But over here is our, this runs our lyrics. So we'll typically have a volunteer from our worship team come up, and this is running the lyrics for on screens. So it's completely separate. They're able to run it, and they know where the songs are going, so they're able to help in that regard. And that is specifically the only thing that they're doing on this computer. Over here, this is just a on-stream monitor. So our video engineers typically in here just supervising, making sure the systems are running. And then this monster over here is our CG computer. They're running QLab and running a lot of things that are queuing videos, queuing multiple tracks if we're running that for our pre-roll, or even for like Christmas, Easter, if we're having a lot of different channels coming up, we'll run it through QLab. QLab is a very specific and niched software that runs a lot of things, and you can do a lot of things out of it. Really, the limit, I have not seen its limit yet. So yeah, if you're interested in that, I suggest going through and being able to do that. You'll also see where we try to keep everything as tidy and clean as possible. You'll see that as you even take a tour. We try to keep our gear as clean and honored. All this gear costs a lot of money, and we want it to last as long as we can. So that's what we do. So yeah, those two computers are tied together, and as you can see, show flow's up here, and apparently we have a mouse that needs to be serviced. But show flow's up here so that guy or girl can see what's going on in that service. Back here is a video wall of just all the software and products that it takes to run everything. So starting at the left is a bunch of IT stuff that's running out. We got fiber for our cameras. We are running an E2 for kind of our server based, and it's helping us run some transitions. This is probably one of the last older pieces of gear still in service. So what we'll be doing is transitioning that all to our Acuity system, which I'll show you guys what that is here in the coming weeks. We have our ISO computers. Here is our Focusrite. So this is, the console, going back to the broadcast mixed, all of that hits the console, hits the LV1, is coming back up, going through our Focusrite, and then from there is getting streamed out onto our platforms. And then this is all of our ROS gear. We have an Acuity for our switcher, and then an Ultrix that does most of our routing. You'll also see we still have some Blackmagic gear around that runs some things. And then these are all just components. We use, by the way, if Resi's watching, I need you guys to get me a sticker. I need 2 of them because we still have the old Living as One, but we do use Resi. And we're running our old, these are the cameras that I was talking about. We have Hitachi HD 1000s. We have 5 of those, and 1 is being serviced currently, and we're looking to eventually upgrade so we can get into 1080. So that's all, most of the video stuff here. And as we walk down, you'll see over here we have this setup over here is for our engineer. So this is all volunteer. So basically every spot that I'm talking about, besides the mix engineer and the live video director and our video engineer, all volunteer. We don't have a huge amount of staffing to have people in every location that's being paid. We don't do a lot of contracting for these areas. We really try to get volunteers involved. At our Tulsa location specifically, we have about 135 volunteers that help pull up service together, 19 each service. So on a weekend, you'll have close to 40 people the 2 extra, we have people shadowing all the time. Right now, there's been a massive influx of new volunteers that are just wanting to jump on. We have a backlog of people that are just trying to get it through so we can get them trained. So good problems to have.
So are they doing live shading?
Yep, they're doing live shading. So for people that don't know what live shading is, it is like that auto iris that you hit that fancy button on your DSL cameras. Well, these ones here, you'll see over here on camera 1, they're actually coloring it down. They will also, we've trained our volunteers to actually learn how to color on the fly. So if they're seeing blacks that are crushed, they can adjust that on the fly. If they're seeing that reds are popping out a little too much, they know exactly how to train. They're trained to chase that color, so that they can actually fix the problem instead of going, "Hey, I need an adult to help me." They really know how to do that.
Now, what monitors are you using? I see NEC, because this is a question I get all the time. It's like, what's a color accurate monitor for us to use?
Yeah, so this one right here, you'll see we're able to punch up the cameras. So this is an old school camera that has a scope in it. Blackmagic has a great one that has come out that you can, it's extremely reliable, has natural coloring. You have to watch out because there's some monitors that you'll get that have their own coloring on top of it. So you're fighting what you're seeing, but what's really in the room. So this JVC monitor, I kid you not, that's probably 20 years old. So we're using that one. But yeah, Blackmagic has some great options as well. Okay, so this is the Acuity. This is one of the things that we swapped out in 2020. The Acuity is a big console. A lot of churches have been going to Carbonite. For what we're running here at Church on the Move in this room and also in our lobby space, we had to swap out for a larger console through Ross. This console has been fantastic. We're still learning a lot about it. As more software updates and more needs come up through our church, this console has been great. Our volunteers are getting more skilled at it. Like I said, this is also a volunteer role. We have our video engineer that knows the insides and backsides of the whole system, but our volunteers are the ones that are actually getting trained. As a large church, sometimes it can be uncommon, or people have the misconception of, oh, all those people are paid. That may be true for some, but Church on the Move, that is not the case. Our biggest thing, and I pitch this every time we have new volunteers coming, and also our volunteer coordinator does this, we want to train you as a volunteer to have the most fulfilling serve here, but we also want you to have a skill that you can take out somewhere else. So we have guys that are farmers during the week, or they're a car salesman, or they're running electrical during the week, and they come in, run a camera, and I kid you not, they're one of the best camera ops that we have. They found a passion that they can do outside of work that's not the norm, but they also get to enjoy serving and using their gifts. So this is our lighting section of the console. You'll see we're running MA2 still, and then we have a backup console. Most of our larger shows, we just like to have a secondary unit just in case something happens. So that's a on PC version. But yeah, we've been running MA2 for a very long time. We love it. All of our other churches have MA3, but for this room, we just feel confident and comfortable with MA2 for right now. So we've just stuck alongside this console. You'll see there's a multi-viewer off to the left. I ask for all of our lighting operators, which I will say 90% of them are all volunteer. So everything is getting designed on a Friday. And then on Saturday, Sunday, these volunteers are coming up here. They know how to make small adjustments to front light if positions are changing. Also, if I look at something, I'm like, this doesn't just look great, or this transition doesn't look wonderful, they know enough to be able to manipulate it to make it look better, just with some coaching. So yeah, and then we're using Madrix to do some of our pixelized stuff up in the air, and then also we have some VC dots, which we'll see when we get to the stage, just to do textiles in the background so it doesn't look like a black hole. But yeah, that's lighting.
Are you guys, as far as running the lights during the service, is it cue list based, all one big long cue list?
Yeah, so they're actually built out in cue. So like this is song 1 from last weekend. So this is a big cue stack, and each one of them are looped and linked together. So as soon as they get done with that first cue stack, it's jumping to the next cue stack that will have the next song or preach look, whatever we're going to next.
And I saw some stuff on there that said time code. Are you doing some automation with your lighting too?
No, so time code's set up for like Easter, Christmas, those larger events that everything's a little bit more specific in how we're needing to hit it. But on a typical weekend, it's just cue based where person's just hit and go. So this station here is a very important station. You'll see we run lyrics here, and if you see down here, we have 2 monitors. So we have 2 TVs down below, one a top and a bottom. So this all came into formation. Whit, when he started preaching a lot more, he was using an onstage TV, and then he also had 2 stage TV or 2 prompter monitors, so he could see his current notes and what was coming up, and then also he had his monitor off to the side. So we've kept this though. It's helped the singers a lot more, so where they can see their current slide and then what's coming up next. We can also have a timer below with also a couple of prompter notes for our hosts. But for as far as pastors, they're just using a timer. They're not really using anything else. They're just using paper notes. So we've changed a lot in that regard. I mean, there's some pastors that will have note by note of what's going on, upcoming slides, but yeah, we've kind of laid back on that sense.
Now I see comms here. Are your lyric operators wearing comms during the service? They are.
So every area from backstage to all of our audio volunteers, camera ops, video room, and even our prompter ops, they are running comms throughout the service. That is just in case something happens. They can reach out to anyone on comm, or they can even they can hear what's really tracking along. In case something changes, backstage can ring up and say, hey, this is changing, everyone's tied in.
And what comm system are you using here?
We're using RTS. We have an Odin set up here.
I've never heard of this. Is this like a clear comm style type thing?
In my personal opinion, it is a better version.
So you guys are going straight from Pro 7 to, how's signal flowing to your LED walls on each side?
So that's just hitting fiber.
Oh.
So we just swapped those LEDs walls out. We were running Barco LED walls, like the old school 30-pound piece panels, and then we just swapped that out in January, and now we're with Row Graphite, the kind of it's a professional series, but it's more on the bottom end. Video walls are so expensive now.
Yeah. Do you know like pixel pitch or anything of that?
We're running 2.9.
Yeah, they look super clean.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your fixtures that you have. First of all, I'm always curious about just house lighting.
Yeah.
What are you guys using for that?
So right now we have old school incandescent PARs, 575 watt bulbs in them. So we haven't switched over to LED yet, which we're in the process of doing that. Of course, switching over from this type of a fixture to a newer type, it is costly. So we're just being as smart as we can. But yeah, these bulbs, they've been in here for, I want to say, more than 15 years now. I don't know the exact timeline, but they've been in here for a while. So as they've gotten older, you'll see that the lights will go out a little quicker. But yeah, all of our maintenance guys come in with lifts to swap out lamps, all of that. So the day that we're actually able to go away from that will be awesome. One for camera shots and to the audience, because right now we're running 2 different color temperatures. You got this nice warm looking light, and then on stage you have a lot cooler. So this here is show flow. This is the other item that the prompter operator is running. So show flow, there's a couple of different arrangements of software that's being used like show flow. I know Planning Center may have one that's similar to it, but basically it's helping us to keep in time. So as we're moving on from segment to segment, they're able to keep track with where we're going, the timing of it, and any of the notes right here. So video can mark their own notes if they need it, or if I have production notes, I can put it in here, lighting, stage, and then you can customize that to however you would like to see it. So if you don't want to ever see CG's notes or anyone's, you can just block that off so you can cut them off, or if you need private notes over here just to remember certain items that nobody else needs to know, you can mark it down here. And then all of it's on a web base, so if you can pull it up on your phone, We have a bunch of iPads around in locations. This is extreme help when we hit Christmas or Easter, when there's a lot more ebb and flow of the service and there might be parts that are changing, times that are changing. We can easily go in here instead of having to reprint and cut down another tree in the forest to reprint all of our papers. We can easily come in here, change it if something changes quickly.
Well, I'm about to take you down, show you some things on the platform, but before I do that, if you're finding value in this video, do me a favor and just hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe for more great content like this. But let's talk about their stage. It is a concrete poured floor sitting on top of red steel framing. It's just hollow underneath. It's got a really cool marley flooring on top. It's like this black rollout flooring they've had for years that's really stood the test of time. They've also added a really cool trough around the front edge of their stage where they can hide cables, bring cables up from underneath. That's the hollow stage. They're using Ovation cyc lights to do their uplighting. For microphones, Church on the Move utilizes micrentals.com for a lot of their stuff. On the drum kit, they're using a DPA 2012 snare mic on the snare top, and then for their side snare, they're actually using a Telefunken mic. I don't remember the model of that one. Hi-hat has an old AKG 480, kind of has this odd bend to it that they don't even make anymore, with a little windscreen there to kind of help with bleed. Then on the toms, they're using a DPA 4099Ds that are just goosenecks on the toms. Mojave overhead mics, I've never heard of those, but I didn't get the model, sorry. Interestingly though, on the kick drum, they're using an Earthworks SR20 on the kick that I've never seen before. And then they're also using Roland triggers on the toms for gating to get those cleaner sounds. And there are no shortage of synths on the stage. Whether that's the Moog subsynth of the bass station or a Juno keyboard going into main stage with full-on organs and Leslie cabs backstage, or this interesting keyboard called a ream. It's like a keybase that they use that it generates just a square wave that for like really low intense moments they can pump that up. And then all of that is going into Apollo interfaces to send outputs up to front of house. One of the coolest things we saw was this custom build contraption they made for their Nord Grand that rolls out and back and forth, and it's all built onto this one platform. It has locking brakes, it houses a mic stand, a talkback Rolls foot switch, the pedals, everything he needs to go in on and off stage just with one thing besides his seat. And it's all just on a loom that's connected backstage. Another interesting thing they had was these Astera AX3 battery-powered LED spots. They just had little stands all throughout the stage that those can go and just get put out. They'll last for 2 days on battery power, and it's just wireless DMX. So it's kind of an interesting way to get light in just subtle areas, lighting people's faces without having to blast them all the way from the ellipsoidals in the ceiling. And there was a lot more we covered, but unfortunately, my camera battery died and the card got corrupted on that part. So let's head backstage.
We'll take you backstage. You'll see there's a bunch of markings here that just help guide the band on and off the stage. And then over to your left, you'll see a grate. This grate is, like I said, the stage is fully opened. So we're able to drop all of our snakes down so they can come out cleanly. So there's no tripping hazards running across the stage. And then this is all of audio land. So basically all of this stuff over here is all of our stage boxes, all of our snakes. We used W1 snakes by Whirlwind so that they're easily interchangeable, swappable. So as we go from event to event, we can easily swap out. And then over here is all of our wireless. We use Sennheiser for all of our handhelds, microphones, and all of our in-ear mixes as well, or from here as well. And all of our in-ear mixes are done at front of house. So we go through in a rehearsal one by one after we hit like a chorus or a song once, and then we'll do in-ear mixes, which the SSL has been set up quite easy to swap from front of house to a monitor console.
So between stage and here, it's just a big curtain.
Correct. And that curtain's on motors, so that we can easily raise it out for set changes. And then there's a split down the center that we can spread it apart if we need to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What caster mic and pack are you using?
So for Whit, we use a Countryman. He likes the slimness of it and how it kind of is invisible. Lately, he's been walking a lot more than he ever has. So there's some issues that I'm working through on just what that how that mic has historically been used to where it is now. So this weekend we put on some filters on it just to help it kind of crunch that wisp of him quickly walking. You would hear that brisk come through. So yeah, he loves that. We use 4066 for like Pastor George. And then also we have a plethora of other DPA mics, just depending on who the speaker is, if they need to be cardioid or omni. Yeah, so we have an assortment, which I'll show you guys in the back. I'll show you guys this. So this table here is used for all of our pastors or speakers that will be going on stage. So you'll see that this is just a regular whiteboard material that we put down. This gets wiped off depending on who's speaking. It's marked with their name, what pack they're on, and what headset number they're on, so that our volunteers and the pastors know exactly what they're grabbing. So in case there's somebody swapped the backup to the primary headset, it's all labeled and marked so they can easily figure it out. And then over here is these are for handhelds. So our MC1, 2, and 3 we put there, so as they're rolling, this is all mobile, so as they roll it on for on-stage checks right after a final rehearsal, it's easy to move without an expensive mic dropping and falling off. So we have that here.
What's the baby powder for?
Baby powder, so this is to help with the anti-static, and also if someone doesn't have a undershirt, any of the sweat, sometimes that charge will build up in that cable and cause pops. So we lace it with baby powder so that when it goes down smoother down their back, but also it helps to keep that moisture off of it.
Interesting.
Back here, this is a landing ground for some storage area. So everything's put on wheels as you've seen on stage for risers. So when we're doing a set change, this area is fully used so that we can put risers on there while set change is being done. But during normal operations, this is being used for other campuses as they're getting gear that's not ready to be put in yet. So those racks are going out to our west campus, and then we have some just mobile gear around that's being serviced. So we keep this as just a landing place for all of it. Over here is where all of our singers, all their gear gets put. We have it lit up as well. Depending on where they put their mics, some of it will not light up, but the same thing as it is on our VIP mic table. Everything's labeled with their name, what pack and mic they're going to be on, and then also their acoustics as well. And every place has a compartment, so they're able to store their in-ears in there. So it's easy for them just to store, place, and walk away without ever having to worry about where am I going to put my mic, where am I putting my in-ears or my in-ear pack. It's just a easy way for them to store it.
Now how about your lighting dummy? Is that what this is over here?
Yep, that is. I think this has made its way around church, around social media.
Oh my gosh.
It's Jesus. We used it for a prop at one point, but it's been great to use as fill-ins for front light, or if the camera ops are training so they can understand focus and different items. It's also great to scare people. This is our audio storage cage, and also like where all of our mics get stored. So as I was talking about packs, all of our headsets are all labeled and marked, so it's easy for people to quickly grab it. Like I said, we're ran a lot by volunteers, so it needs to be spelled out. They have a 9-to-5 job, they have families, they're not thinking about production all the time like we are, so we've made it easy for them to understand these are the headsets and mics. But also this is our fix-it area, so as you can see there's parts out as guys are fixing it or on other projects. But storage solutions that have helped and kept us tidy. This cage was originally built with just this wall, but we put around this full cage because, as we all know, XLRs, extension cords, adapters, they can go missing just because, oh, somebody needed to borrow something in kids ministry and they knew where to get it. So this is under lock and key, not for us just to keep it all to ourselves, but it helps us keep inventory of what we have. But also it helps us to keep things organized, because when we need something, we need it quickly. So all of this cabling is marked, so you'll see XLR 25 feet, 50 foot, balanced stereo pair, 1/4 inches, extra snake heads. Pretty much any cable that you would think you would need is in here.
They're just dowels that have been
just dowels on 2x4s, and they've been glued and screwed in, and then the 2x4 straight into the wall. So pretty cheap, cost-effective way to manage cable. Over here is our stage manager table. So this table is equipped with all of our E-tape, gaff tape, cable path, measuring tools that we need on hand backstage. And then of course they have their station here with radios, and then these house all of their comm units. And then you can see this for speakers only water that's locked up. All that water, it has labels pulled off of it so that we can easily put it on stage so that we're not just broadcasting what water we're using. But yeah, a lot of people are using Yetis now. They're just grabbing their own water and taking it, which is awesome. Saves money and less on us to have to deal with. So,
Jonathan, thanks so much for showing us all the ins and outs of all the systems, but I want to hear just what's the heart behind Church on the Move production. I mean, honestly, I've looked up to you guys for many years. This dates back to Seeds conferences and all those different things. What's the heartbeat? What's the why behind everything you're doing here?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we're here to do is support and serve the church. That is our mission. There is no fancy slogan behind what we do or why we do. It's just to support the church. Without anyone else, there's no us. And of course, without us, there is not a music team. There's no kids ministry. We're a part of, I mean, production has a very specific niche of being a part of every ministry across the church. So we're here to support them. Over the couple of years, we've had a lot after Stone has passed, and a lot of guys have just shifted in different positions. We've had a mass amount of different people come through and start working for us. And the biggest thing, as I tell them, is I want them to honor this church, honor the people that they serve and work for. And it's hard because we're not the church that we once were, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for where we're at. We're focusing on theology. We're focusing on spiritual development for people. And a lot of people look at us and go, well, where's Seeds at? What are you guys doing? Seeds may come up again. It may be just in a different form.
Comment below, hashtag bringing back seeds. Bringing back seeds. You can teach us your theology of technology.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I mean, that conversation has come up a lot of where is it at? Where has it come? I mean, it's come and it's gone, and we'll see what happens with Seeds. I don't think it's fully gone, but it'll just look a little different. But just like we haven't done a set change in 2 years.
Yeah.
We haven't done a lot of flashy things. We're more kind of secluded in the technical environment we're a little bit more laid back, but also the technical elements don't go away. There's still a lot you see the systems that we have. This is only one building out of 4 on this location. There's a lot of technical stuff that still goes on. We're probably busier than we've ever been before. There's a lot of things just to make sure that are happening and growing. Helping equip is probably the biggest thing that we're doing now. Helping equip our other churches, helping equip our volunteers to grow, succeed, maybe become the next me. I don't know.
Exactly.
But leading the pathway and forging for the future of what we're going to become.
Yeah. Well, what I love is I see you guys, you have the technology, but you're really using the tools in the right way.
Oh.
You're being good stewards of all these stuff that you acquired over the years. And hopefully the next time I'm here, you'll be broadcasting in 1080p.
I hope that is the truth. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, if you found value in this video, just drop a comment and hit the like button and say thank you to Jonathan and the team here. It's not just him that makes this happen. He's just one of the guys who's be able to share some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So just say thanks to them for sharing maybe what your favorite part that you got to see and something you can apply in your own church. Take this and apply it in our own settings. That's what we can do. But remember, we can do a lot of great things. Let's do it all for God's glory.